Greetings, my fellow freedom lovers and sovereign thinkers. This is L3's newest podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangroves of South Florida. And today's date, Tuesday, December 20th, 2016. Before I start doing my little rant, I want to make a quick announcement to one of my Facebook pen pals that he presides in Long Island, New York. And his name, if I'm correct, Nicholas Georgiadis. And he's a disabled veteran. He created this a week ago. And he's a evicted, disabled, homeless man, a veteran to be exact. And there's a video on here, and it says here, I have recently had a stroke because my surgery was not properly done and was just evicted out of my apartment in Staten Island. I lost all my possessions I've worked for and never received my security deposit or first month's rent. I'm currently in a rehab center. I don't have anywhere to live after I leave here in 2 months. So I will be homeless with disability on the street. I need to collect some funds so I can secure a small place to live for myself. I've been denied food stamps and not one politician or agency has responded to me. Please help me survive. I would greatly appreciate your help. May God bless you. And I'll check on some of these updates, of course. He has a video on here you could check out yourselves. All these videos, and I chat with the person now and then, and he's a good individual. Like on his Facebook page, he loves Staten Island, and it's disturbing when you got good folks out there are being treated out of contempt. And this is why, when it comes to government, I am not too friendly. And I do agree what Mike Adams from Natural News had to say. Government is the parasite of society. I'm going to have to add that to my memo on my footnotes when I have the chance, and folks can really see it for yourselves. It is, he makes a lot of sense. Why should we have our disabled veterans that serve their country, regardless if you support some of the wars or not? Gotta be treated like ingrates, numbers, part of the tyrannical plantation. This is what I find more essential. And I want to take the initiative too on donating money to him as well. So I will add this to my footnotes on there, so you could add a link to my Spreaker page. You can see it for yourselves. And please help this gentleman right now. He has 99 people donated money to him in 6 days. He got $3,125 of the $10,000 goal. So if we could do this before he leaves, that would be fantastic. So please, folks, if you can take the time, even $10, $5 is good. Please send it to him. And a lot of folks out here are doing it. So, and you got to thank them on here. So I'm on the chicken issue doing the same thing, because it's not right to see some good people get be treated like this. That's Nicholas Georgiadis. So I'm gonna add that on here, and I might just do that as well. Let me just take the initiative and make it happen right now on the add that video before I forget, because I do have my moments. That's okay. So like I said, there's a lot of folks out there, even in Fort Lauderdale, that are incredible individuals, and they have their ordeals as well. And this video came out 3 months ago by the health ranger. It's on newstarget.com, but definitely check it out, man. It's very good. This is why we hear about they want to point their fingers at capitalism and all that. It's totally irrelevant. But yeah, I'm going to add that to my footnotes so you folks can see it for yourselves. All right. Well, a lot of stuff has been going on with attacks, 3 attacks, terror attacks called terrorist attacks. Some people may say it's authentic. Some others say it's staged or hoax, etc. But we'll just hit the articles first. And this is from B92.net. This is Ankara, Berlin, Zurich. 3 linked terrorist attacks. And as it was here, the world on Monday faced 3 attacks in one day in Turkey, Germany, and Switzerland, which may consider to be perhaps be 3 linked acts of terror. Russian ambassador to Turkey, Andrei Karlov, was assassinated by a former Turkish police officer during an exhibition opening in Ankara. The Russian Foreign Ministry has ambiguously assessed that this was a terrorist act. In Berlin, a truck driver drove into a Christmas market, killed at least 12 persons and injured around 50, while in Zurich, at least 3 people were wounded in a shooting in an Islamic center. The attackers was found on Tuesday. Although at first cautious to refer to the Berlin killings as terrorism, the police in Germany have said that the truck was deliberately driven into a group of people and that the incident is a possible terrorist attack. The media in Germany, meanwhile, identified the driver as a Pakistani man who arrived in their country via the Balkan migrant route. But later in the day, the German police said they had arrested the wrong man and that the perpetrator was still at large. And I've been checking on the Idiot Box here. I'm at CJ's Java Lounge. Yeah, check it out. It's a cool little place by the river in Fort Lauderdale. And nice little folks, young kids. Pretty chill. It's not like Starbucks. so, so I'm just like keeping a tab on here. And it says German Chancellor Angela Merkel made her first statement regarding the attack on Tuesday morning, saying it must be viewed as a terrorist attack and that it would make the incident particularly repugnant if the killer indeed came to Germany as a refugee. The newly elected president of the United States, Donald Trump, has no doubt that these were 3 related terrorist attacks. In a statement, he condemned the incidents and blamed Islamic terrorists. Today, there were 3 terror attacks in Turkey, Switzerland, and Germany, and it's only getting worse. The civilized world must change thinking, Trump wrote on Twitter. EU Commissioner Johannes Hahn has also condemned the attacks on Twitter. I strongly condemn the heinous attacks in Ankara, Berlin, Zurich, and Zurich. Violence and hate will not win, he wrote. In the wake of the assassination in Ankara, Turkey and Russia said sorry about that. In the wake of the assassination in Ankara, Turkey and Russia said they will strengthen cooperation to fight against terrorism, while the presidents of the 2 countries, Recep Tayyip Erdogan and Vladimir Putin, agreed that the aim of the attack was to undermine Russia-Turkey relations, but also attempt to delay peace talks on Syria's future between Iran, Russia, and Turkey, which will be held today in Moscow. Interesting. EU High Representative of Foreign and Security Policy, Federica Mogherini, on behalf of the European Union, condemned the attack, while members of the UN Council once again stressed the need to bring justice the perpetrators, organizers, financiers, and the sponsors of terrorist attacks. So, of course, it's going to be the finger pointing and all that, but actually, who is going to benefit? That is the question. And can we say this is organic or financed from some higher ups? New World Order? Possible. But I'm going to continue reading here in a moment. Okay, cool. I'm just going to continue on here. And this next one related to it. The Manhattan for Berlin truck terrorist begins as Germany declares we are in a state of war by zero ahead. It's by Tom Dreisen to be exact. And I'm like scoping out here on the idiot box and still talking about the suspect's been detained. It's the wrong one, but we'll just see what they have to say on here. Following yesterday's deadly terrorist attack in which a truck driver rammed into a crowded Christmas market, killing 12 and injuring 48, the German mood has been doused, deteriorating further this morning when the Interior Minister of the German state of Saarland said on Tuesday that Germany is in a state of war. We must say that we are in a state of war, although some people who always only want us to see good. I don't want to see this, the minister Klaus Bollian told German broadcaster SR. For Germany, this latest attack has been a painful case of double deja vu, reminiscent not only of the true terror attack in Nice, France, but also reminding the local population that such terrorism elasticity observed over the summer in Germany is hardly over. German Interior Minister Thomas de Maizière said there is no doubt that the truck incident at a Christmas market in Berlin was a terror attack. At this point, we have no doubt that this horrific crime was a terrorist attack. Dabari told a news conference on Tuesday. He added that there is no evidence so far to indicate the suspect is linked to Islamic State or any other terrorist group. Addressing the nation, a horrified shock, Angela Merkel confirmed as much when she said, "We must assume this was a terrorist attack." You can see the photo too. Is a semi truck, and it says here, making matters worse, Berlin was put on high alert Tuesday after authorities said the suspect they had detained in connection with the deadly truck rampage may have been the wrong man. As reported previously, police had detained a Pakistani refugee on Monday evening after witnesses reported see the driver of the truck flee from the devastating market in front of the Kaiser Wilhelm Memorial Church, which is supposed to be a landmark, by the way. Was bombed during the Allied bombing of World War II. The man taken into custody appeared to match the description supplied by the witnesses, though he denied having anything to do with the attack. Berlin Police Chief Klaus Kant said the driver was followed for a short way so that we knew the beginning of the suspected escape route. He told journalists, adding that the man in custody has been arrested close to Berlin's Zaglossi monument barely an hour after the attack took place. The suspect was arrested because he could match the description, we said, but he always denied any involvement, Mr. Canet said. In his case, that this person was continuously under observation from the vehicle to the arrest, and therefore there is no some uncertainty. As a result, we are of course taking enhanced precautions. He said it's possible that we are dealing with a dangerous criminal. It's possible. Okay, so it was interesting here because even Mr. Marseille said the suspect was known to police for minor offenses, but was not on any terrorist watch list. He said there had been no claim of responsibility. German media named the man in custody as Nave B, a 23-year-old Pakistani. By Tuesday, German officials were saying they weren't certain they had the right man, and visitors and residents of the city were being urged by police to remain vigilant and should always stay in that frame of mind anywhere, regardless. The detained suspect is currently denying the deed, the Berlin police posted on Twitter. We're especially alert as a result. Please do the same. So, like I said, it's just a lot of questions and all that, trying to ruin the holidays, right? As a result, as the FT adds, Germany was braced for a possible manhunt on Tuesday after doubts emerged as to whether the man arrested after an attack on a Christmas market in Berlin was indeed the perpetrator. Adding to the confusion, German authorities said they had no definite evidence shedding light on the motive for the assault and seen no claim of responsibility from terrorist group. We are, of course, highly alarmed, Haller Munch, Head of Germany's Federal Criminal Police said in a news conference, "We are investigating, of course, in all directions." I know Strong Cities Network is going to be manifesting on this. Another cause for concerns for investigators was the original driver apparently stole a truck and the attack was found shot dead in the vehicle's passenger seat. The weapon hasn't been recovered, officials said. We haven't yet been able to confirm that this person was in fact the driver, Mr. Cannon, the Berlin police chief, said at a news conference. Later he told reporters it is possible that we have a dangerous criminal here in the area. Meanwhile, the Polish haulage company boss, whose driver died in the vehicle, claims a picture he saw of the driver shows that he was involved in a struggle and that he had suffered stab wounds. The police said that the Polish man was shot. However, as the local adds, it seems that investigators have not found gun discharge residue from a weapon on the suspect's clothes, nor they have found blood or any signs that was involved in the struggle. That is according to information Spagio has from high-ranking police officials. At the same time, according to DPA, blood-covered clothes were found in the vehicle, suggesting that the attacker could have changed that he was wearing after murdering the Polish driver. It wasn't just Berlin that was in a state of heightening alert. London police said on Tuesday they were reviewing plans for protecting public events over festive period after Monday's tragic events. The Metropolitan Police has detailed plans for protecting public events over the Christmas and New Year's period. Police said in a statement, "As a matter of routine, as a precaution, we review our plans after the attacks overseas, and we are doing so at present following the awful incidents in Berlin and Ankara last night." Meanwhile, shortly after he televised address to the German people, Macron visited the attack site Tuesday afternoon. She and other senior government officials urged Germans not to give in to fear. "We don't want to live paralyzed by fear of evil," Merkel said, as officials voiced a determination that acts of terror shouldn't be allowed to subvert normal life. Christmas markets in Berlin, a major tourist draw, were asked to close for the day on Tuesday out for the victims. Markets elsewhere in Germany, they said, should stay open. In her remarks to reporters, Merkel acknowledged the pressure that was likely to come to bear on her policy of accepting refugees if, as initial reports from officials indicated, an immigrant was to blame for assault, which, according to some skeptics, may explain the U-turn and the change of narrative involving the Pakistani refugee. "I know it would be especially hard to bear us for all. It should be confirmed that the person who committed this act sought protection and asylum in Germany," Ms. Merkel told a news conference at the Chancellery in Berlin. "This would be especially despicable towards the many, many Germans who are daily engaged in helping refugees and toward many people who truly need this protection and strive to integrate themselves into our country." Sorry about that. A little sneeze there. Oof. All right. Ultimately, the question is how much an impact on the 2017 political elections would a confirmation that a perpetrator was indeed a refugee have. At the Wall Street Journal notes, an involvement in the attack by a recent migrant to Germany in a truck attack could stoke tensions over a wave of asylum seekers and migrants from Muslim countries that has fueled nationalist sentiment and world politics in Germany and across Europe. The FT also chimes in, if the attacker is found to be an asylum seeker, it will increase pressure on the German Chancellor Angela Merkel and put the refugee issue back at the top of the political agenda just months before federal elections where she is seeking a fourth term. She has already come under fire from politicians on the right who claim her decision to throw open German borders to tens of thousands of refugees in the summer of 2015 comprised national security. "These are Merkel's dead," tweeted Marcus Pretzel, a leading figure in the populist alternative for Germany party, which called for strict controls on immigration. What makes yesterday's attacks even more surprisingly is that, as we observed on Sunday night, officials have warned about the potential for an attack on a Christmas market in Germany. The markets draw millions of locals and tourists to squares in small towns and big cities alike. In November, the U.S. State Department issued a travel alert warning that Islamic State and Al-Qaeda were planning terrorist attacks in Europe, with a focus on the upcoming holidays and associated events. Islamic State. Yeah, can we say New World Order and Al-Qaeda too, right? Earlier this month, officials said that Germany narrowly avoided a suspected Islamist attack on Christmas market in the city of Ludwigshafen. Authorities reported that a 12-year-old German Iraqi boy twice planted a explosive device at a Christmas market there that failed to detonate. While many German politicians urged caution and calm, some said the attack meant the government's immigration policy had to be reconsidered. The most influential politician taking such a position Tuesday morning was Bavarian Premier Horst Seehofer, the head of Bavaria's conservative Christian Social Union and a governing partner of Ms. Merkel. We owe it to the victims, the people affected, and the whole public to rethink and readjust our entire immigration and security policy, Mr. Seehofer said. Others were more aggressive, and Merkel's political opponents let me see here. Sorry about that. Quickly seized the opportunity to attack her open door refugee policy, which has polarized voters and fed support for the anti-immigration alternative for Germany party known as AfD, while influx of asylum seekers has dropped off substantially this year. The Berlin's death threatened to further erode Merkel's domestic political standing going into an election year. Germany is no longer safe, AfD co-chairwoman Frauke Petry said in an email statement. We must be under no illusions. The breeding grounds in which such acts can flourish has been negligently and systematically imported over the past year and a half. She added that radical Islamic terror has struck in the heart of Germany. Judging by the state of near emergency in Germany's capital, she is, at least as of this moment, correct. Once the terrorist suspect is caught, should he be confirmed be a refugee, Petry may end up the biggest winner as questions around Merkel's political future becoming increasingly louder. So it's very interesting what's going on with this particular article because Merkel is, you could say, very Club of Rome friendly. And that's been like the whole goal is to try to keep the whole European Union and using migration as a platform. So we have to always look at this as a bigger picture. And even what's going on in Pakistan, Afghanistan, all that, hey, stop bombing these damn nations for goodness sakes. And it shouldn't really be the issue. It's not going to be perfect, but be a lot better. For everyone coming out there are bad folks? Absolutely not. But the truth of the matter is you have to look at a lot of areas into a broader perspective. When do the bombings going to stop? When are we going to tell the New World Order to go F themselves? And it's just an example of what's going on. Germany, this country like Germany is suffering from it as well. It has to stop. Gotta clean my nose, so stay tuned. All right, so the next one here we're gonna check out, and this is from a couple of them from the Daily Mail UK. And Russian diplomat found dead from gunshot wounds in Moscow. Interesting, huh? Something to really think about that as well. You can see a domino effect here. And it's by Will Stewart. It says here, Russian diplomat Peter Paleshko, 56, was found at his home in Moscow. A high-ranking Russian diplomat has been found dead from a gunshot wound in Moscow. It was reported early Tuesday. Peter Paleshkov was found at his home in the capital city with a bullet wound to his head. The shooting, disclosed by REN TV, came soon after the news broke of the assassination of Russian ambassador to Ankara Andrei Karlov. Circumstances of the shooting remain unclear, and it's understood police are examining all possible theories as to his death. Two empty bullet shells were found in the flat on Balanagasky Prospect. Gun was discovered under the sink in the bathroom. REN TV showed footage from the crime scene. Russian broadcaster REN TV showed footage of Polashkin's body being carried from the crime scene. It is unknown if the two shootings are connected in any way, and the police are investigating all possibilities. The reports said the diplomat's wife was in the flat at the time of the shooting, and it's safe. Polashkov was reported to be a senior figure in the Latin American department of the Russian Foreign Ministry. Some reports said that the diplomat had left the foreign ministry, but it's unclear if he worked for any other branch of the Russian government. He served previously at the Russian embassy in Bolivia. Polashkov was reported to be a senior figure in Latin America department of the Russian Foreign Ministry. Local media reports the diplomat's wife was in the flat at the time of the shooting and is safe. Well. Interesting here. I don't know what is happening. It's just, ooh, can we see a lot of suspicions here? Can this be connected? Yeah, I could say so. Is anything is possible, but I can't make any conclusions as of yet until more of the stories come in. But when this is gonna stop? It's like one big domino effect, or what? Like they don't want to see relations be improved with these countries. Just more division and more ruling, I would say, right? And we'll go on here of what's going on in the UK. Same source is by Alex Ward, and it says here police forces across Britain have stepped up security at Christmas market this year as a bid for ISIS-inspired terror attacks, as the one in Berlin. Yes, I said, yeah, 11 UK police forces. Okay. So, security services warned UK was at risk of terrorist attacks on the large crowds of soft target civilians by the likes of ISIS and Al Qaeda during the festive season. American State Department officials have told U.S. travelers to be vigilant when traveling to Europe and be particularly careful when going to Christmas events. Police at Birmingham Christmas market today, where hundreds of shoppers are expected. Fears were raised early this year that terrorists could target festive events around Europe. Police forces around the country are on alert following the attack in Berlin yesterday. 11 forces are sending out anti-terrorism police patrol squads to shopping centers, transport hubs, and tourist hotspots in a bid to spot extremists carrying out hostile reconnaissance. Greater Manchester Police said they have strengthened their presence at the market, which almost 350 stalls spread across 10 sites in the city. It emerged last week that 200 undercover SAS soldiers are to be deployed on Britain's streets to assist police forces in the event of attack. Pretty bad dudes, I would say, SAS. Concrete barriers have been erected in the center of Birmingham to stop would-be terrorists from using car or truck bombs to attack the city's popular Christmas markets. Armed forces of the Northumbria police have also been seen in Newcastle city centre posing with children and families while carrying assault rifles. The photos attracted criticism after residents complained of the effect of seeing armed police on youngsters. Security sources said Britain is very much in the sights of jihadists, but thankfully plots and plotters have been disrupted and stopped. Whereas UK agencies have been extremely good at the preventive intelligence operations against jihadist groups. Other European equivalents have been less successful, sadly. Complete barriers have been erected in the city of Birmingham to stop would-be terrorists from using car or truck bombs to attack the city's popular Christmas market. Wrapped up against the cold, these Newcastle children were all smiles on a trip to the Christmas market with the presence of two police officers armed with guns on either side, keeping the public safe. Armed police patrol Newcastle Christmas markets. This means the entire continent is vulnerable to attack, as we have seen in France, Germany, and Belgium, but particularly in the run-up to Christmas. If a Christian period of festivities, bringing together large crowds of sauce target civilians and will attract attention from those who wish to inflict harm. In July, 86 people were killed on a Promenade des Angelus in Nice, southern France, when a lorry operated by a man who had pledged allegiance to IS drove through the crowd celebrating Bastille Day. Head of the MI6, Alice Younger, warned earlier this month that IS cells are exploiting the chaos that Russia has caused in Syria to plot deadly attacks against the UK. It's blaming the Russians again. Good grief. He said the threat to Britain was unprecedented, with 12 major plots foiled in the past 3 years. On Monday night, there was a terror attack at the Christmas markets in Berlin, Germany, killing at least 9 people. ISIS fanatics are now feared to be directing attacks in the UK in the way Al Qaeda did in the past. They are also producing propaganda intended to inspire people in Britain to plot atrocities in the name of IS. Mr. Younger, as I speak, the highly organized external attack planning structures within Daesh or IS, even as they face military threat, are plotting ways to project violence against the UK and our allies without ever having to leave Syria. Last week, police carried out a pre-Christmas raid to smash a suspected IS terror cell base in Derby, Burton-on-Trent, and London that is accused of plotting to bomb Britain. Pools of blood on the floor, tourists release market crash. I think that's a video on that, so you can check it out yourselves. So, more, you know what I'm saying? What is really getting going on? And they still want to, like this here, someone want to blame the Russians for it. What's going on in Syria? Give me a break. Your propaganda, New World Order matrix isn't working anymore. This is why I'm pretty critical on this. If you know about my show, I always said ISIL is New World Order funded. And there's even past articles I read these things. And plus, if you see the ISIS flag with the golden ridges, that represents maritime law. So, but the people who are going to suffer are the innocent ones. And that's one thing you got to be real concerned of. And so hope and pray for those folks in those areas in the world that these bombings has to stop. You know, this really hits me, really is annoying. And we're going to hear this from USA Today. And I'm not a big fan of theirs in general, but that's what it said by the Associated Press. And they're trying to tell me I can't read it. I tell them to stick it. As it reads here, Swiss police body of Zurich shooting suspect found. Interesting. This is what's happening with what happened with that mosque. And it says here, Zurich police investigators in Zurich have suspended a hunt for the suspected gunman behind an attack on a mosque frequented by Somali migrants. All right, there. Okay, Somali migrants after discovery of the body. Let me see here. The vicinity that believes it to be that of the assailant, official said. Cantonal State Police in Switzerland's largest city and said Tuesday on Twitter that we are working on the assumption that the dead person was found and the culprit in the shooting's Islamic Center in Zurich. A news conference was scheduled later that day. Police officials said the search was suspended, but the investigation was continuing into the incident, in which 3 people were injured Monday after a gunman dressed in dark clothes stormed the mosque and opened fire on worshippers, wounding 3 people before fleeing. Shortly after the shooting, police found the corpse close nearby, Gazinder Bridge, next to the neighborhood of trendy cafes and the city's red light district where the mosque is located. Hey, nice spot, right? A police spokesman has said that officials were exploring the possible connection between the mosque and shooting bodies. And shooting in the mosque shooting in the body. Authorities weren't concerned the attacks as terrorism. Police spokesman Michael Rabiza said 3 people were injured, aged 30, 35, and 56 were hospitalized. He said without specifying their nationalities. So, yeah, my dog is like a little bit excited. Looks like he wants to play. So, so that's interesting about that, about the whole thing that's happening over there. And I was like really like looking into this about terrorist attacks. It is like in the graphic it says here about terror attacks, and they had 13 in 1981. That's in Switzerland, and the lowest they had was one in 2003. And yeah, so it's very strange. They had their instances over there as well, but one thing you got to look at is is this all connected? That's the question. So that's why you got to stay on top of all this. And we don't know about the suspect in general, too. Sometimes you have your Shiites and your Sunnis. Hey, they butt heads too. You have your infighting. It could just be just an isolated incident. But people's got to be ready at all times because we've been living in a dangerous world since the beginning of time. So I'm going to add that link on the visualization related to terror attacks and threats in Switzerland. So hopefully you can check that out. And it was funny because I was watching this video. I was watching the video over and over again on the shooting that happened with Karlov. And some people say it's a fake shooting, and others say that, oh, no, it's not true. So I'm going to add this link here on there on YouTube, which is the Russian Turkey hoax 33 Freemason coded order out of chaos. It's from the Underground Resistance Network. And he explained how the gun was being held, how come there was no blood. And it was funny because some folks here only, only if the bullet went through, so everyone sound David Combs sounds strange, but fat people. It's funny it says here what David Combs said on here. I knew this was BS, whereas the blood should have been bleeding like a stuffed pig, yeah. And of course here, only if the bullet went through. And someone said here, David Combs sounds strange, but fat people don't really bleed after such wounds because their fat layer closes the projectile entering it. So maybe, like I say, it could be trapped. So some claims on that. You got people with some mixed views on what's going on, and some people may criticize the Underground Resistance Network to be foolish. And of course, you got people, but how I see it, it's very, yeah, they got to really like do your homework on it instead of what people have to say. But based on this particular shooting and the others, I'm pretty real convinced in good faith it was a New World Order agenda. They only use ISIL or ISIS and so forth. It's too obvious. And I say that out of respect. But he has his, I'll leave this video on here to make your own judgment, observe responsibly, and hey, we could share your comments on here with me as well. I'd be great, really greatly appreciate it. So definitely you have to, let's take a look. Don't be shy. And he He explained he has his good things too, and of course, in the video, you see people not really running away; they're all like hiding in the corner. So it's like, is this a possible Hollywood shoot? Yeah, anything's possible, right? Just to have you guys live in fear. So I'm going to say that's enough of that. I don't want to digress on this whole entire subject. So yeah, I got some people here hanging out, chit chatting, the little coffee shop. So this next one here, um, from Ron Paul, came out yesterday. Former Congressman Ron Paul, and it says here after Aleppo, we need a new Syria policy. It says here over the past week, eastern Aleppo was completely brought back under control of the Syrian government. The population began to return to its homes, many of which were abandoned when Al Qaeda linked rebels. Hold on for a moment. Sorry about that. Yeah, sorry about that. I'm just like in the days here. Link rebels took over in 2012. As far as I know, the mainstream media did not have a single reporter on the ground in Aleppo, but relied on activists to inform us that the Syrian army was massacring the civilian population. It hardly makes sense for an army to fight and defeat armed rebels. So it can go and murder unarmed civilians. But then again, not much mainstream reporting on the tragedy in Syria has made sense. I spoke to one Western journalist last week who actually did a report from Aleppo, and she painted a very different picture of what was going on there. She conducted video interviews with dozens of local residents, and they told of being held hostage and starved by the rebels, many of whom were using U.S. supplied weapons supposed to go to moderates. We cannot be sure what is exactly happening in Aleppo, but we do know a few things about what happened in Syria. Over the past 5 years, there was no popular uprising to overthrow a dictator and bring in democracy. From the moment President Obama declared Assad must go and approved sending in weapons, it was obvious there was a foreign sponsored regime change operation that used foreign fighters against Syrian government forces if the Syrian people really opposed Assad. There is no way he could have survived 5 years of attack from foreigners on his own people. We recently heard that the CIA and Hillary Clinton believe that the Russians are behind the leak Democratic National Committee documents and that the leaks were meant to influence the U.S. presidential election in Donald Trump's favor. These are the same people who, for the past 5 years, have been behind the violent overthrow of the Syrian government, which has cost lives of hundreds of thousands, isn't supporting violent overthrow of influence who runs the country, even worse than leaking documents. It is okay when we do it. Why? Because we are the most powerful country we are a country sitting on a $20 trillion debt, living far beyond our means. Power can oftentimes be an illusion, and in any case, it doesn't last forever. We can be sure that the example we set while we are the most powerful country will be followed by those who may one day take our place. The hypocrisy of our political leaders who say one thing and do another does not go unnoticed. We should end that hypocrisy, starting with Syria. That government, along with its allies, seems to be on track to take their country back from ISIS, Al Qaeda, and any other terrorist groups. The only sensible policy is for the United U.S. to stop trying to overthrow their government, to treat others as we wish to be treated ourselves. It is a rule that is always good to remember, but perhaps especially important to recall at this time of year. He is absolutely correct. We need a butt out of these foreign affairs, and of course, they don't have been the Russians for Hillary's loss, please. But it's okay for her and the other asswipe to go attack Syria, even in debates. Talking about we gotta go overthrow Assad. Up theirs, okay? Up with the hell with the DSD and Hillary Clinton. And Ron Paul is absolutely correct. We gotta butt out. Get out of these foreign entanglements. The people in Syria need to take care of their own situations, which I know they are capable of doing. No more excuses. No more of these crybabies going after Trump. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on. It's totally unacceptable. All right? Let's become a constitutional republic once again rather than an empire. All right? So, nothing said there. And next one here came from Matt Agarist. It's entitled from the freethoughtproject.com. It says here, National Police Union expect Trump to bring back racial profiling, lift ban on militarized police. One phrase comes to mind when reading the newly proposed list of expectations for the National Fraternal Order of Police of President-elect Trump. This won't end well. The FOP is the largest police union in America, boasting more than 330,000 members across 2,200 departments. This month, they began circulating an internal document meant to define their expectations of the Trump presidency. The expectations are nothing short of pro-police state and anti-freedom. In the document, the unions attempt to distance themselves from the notion that this is an actual list of demands, but their intent is unmistakable as the FOP publicly proclaim their unwavering support for the Trump presidency prior to their elections. The list ends with the following disclaimer. This document is a predicted summary of potential actions that the Trump administration may take in its first 100 days and is based on statements from the campaign and media reports up to the time the document was distributed to FOP members. It is not an advocacy document and does not represent the FOP's agenda for the first 100 days of the incoming administration. It is an advisory to our members that as to what may happen when the new administration takes over. However, the newly proposed list titled The Trump Administration, the First 100 Days, lays out the police agenda quite clear with a prediction executive action to reinstate so many tyrannical practices overturned by the last two administrations. While Obama was certainly no champion of freedom, his administration was forced to respond to the ugly face of police militarization after it was exposed in Ferguson, Missouri. And you go way back, even to the FTAA rallies down in Miami, 2003. Deciding the war on drugs and terror to rationalize their actions, federal assistance from the DoD's 1033 program and the DOJ's Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant has been escalating to the militarization of American police forces for decades. By sidestepping the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878, the U.S. government has blurred the divisions between the military and the police, and the result came to a head as Ferguson quickly began to resemble a military occupation rather than an American city. This was before the Ferguson riots, too. After the police state reared its ugly head, the administration was forced to act, and Executive Order 13688 was passed, establishing a federal interagency law enforcement equipped working group, or LEWIG, to develop recommendations to improve federal support for the appropriate use, acquisition, and transfer of controlled equipment by state, local, and tribal law enforcement associations. In other words, the wholesale acquisitions of grenade launchers, 50 caliber firearms, bayonets, tracked armored vehicles, mine-resistant vehicles, amphibious assault vehicles, Apache attack helicopters, and a slew of other entirely unnecessary equipment for domestic police operations was slowly throttled. Just to let you know, CJ Java Lounge are pet friendly, so bring your dogs and make sure they respect each other, okay? This infuriated the police union, who perceived it as an attack on their ability to issue tickets, enforce the immoral war on drugs, and conduct day-to-day silencing the dissent in general. Oh, please. Trump, who ran a pro-police platform, is expected by the FOP to undo this throttling of military gear and release the torrent that is the U.S. police state back to its full status. It is in the very first bullet on their list. The FOP makes clear their number one expectation: the pledge to rescind Executive Order 13688, which imposed limits on state and law enforcement equipment programs throughout the federal government. But that's just the beginning. Because of its highly ineffective and racist undertones, even the warmongering Bush administration issued a federal ban on racial profiling. In 2003, for the first time in history, 70 law enforcement arms in the U.S. were barred from using someone's racial makeup in decisions on law enforcement. For example, a team of drug-worn forces could not focus on a single neighborhood of narcotics enforcement based on the race of the occupants. The end of profiling was a small victory for those who found themselves under the thumb of government because of their race. However, Trump and the FOP hope and expect to overturn this practice of persecuting individuals over their skin color. In the last bullet on their list, the FOP wrapped up their potential actions with the end of the ban on racial profiling. Reverse or amend on the broad Bush era on racial profiling by all us or some federal agencies. Among other expectations, the FOP notes that the Trump should reverse the position of the federal government on the use of private prisons too, of course. In a stunning turn of events, the U.S. Department of Justice announced in August it will no longer use private prisons to incarcerate federal prisoners deemed notorious for-profit facilities. Both are less safe and less effective in providing correctional services than those operated by the government. They do They simply do not provide the same level of correctional services, programs, and resources. They do not save substantially on costs, and as noted in a recent report by the Department Office of Inspector General, they do not maintain the same level of safety and security. Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates explained in the announcement. 2012, Park Geun-hye, Park Geun-hye becomes the first female president of South Korea. Elizabeth II becomes the oldest monarch of the United Kingdom, surpassing. Hmm. Yeah, I'll continue. What the hell? I'm going to read that. Becomes the oldest monarch of the United Kingdom, surpassing Queen Victoria, who lived for 81 years, 7 months, and 29 days. Immediately following the announcement, they would lose their tax subsidized cash cow prison stocks plummeted. Equally troubling is a call for a 2-year mandatory minimum federal prison sentence for illegally reentering the U.S. after previous deportations and a 5-year minimum for legally reentry for those with felony convictions, multiple misdemeanors convictions, or 2 or more prior deportations. Also reforms visa rules to enhance penalties for overstaying. This is yet another huge giveaway to the private industry as it would face the federal government to use and build more private prisons just to house a massive number of immigrants caught re-entering the U.S. The Free Thought Project spoke to a Border Patrol agent who called the provision a nightmare, knowing that it would create massive prison camps across the country as well as insane costs for housing these individuals. So there you have it. The Trump presidency, according to the police, is the creation, growth, and subsidization of the most massive police state the world has ever known. Dear libertarians who voted for Trump, regret that decision yet? So he could, like I said, because I do remember his speech too, his speeches, his rhetoric while campaigning President-elect Trump. You know, presidential candidate at the time made a statement, said, "I am the law and order candidate, presidential candidate." So that's you have to think about. And remember who said that? Richard Nixon. So even though a lot of folks have to support Trump, you have to be vigilant. And another thing as well, my friends, we got the 10th Amendment. We don't have to bring these grants, these supplies to our state. Take action. Sovereign state, a sovereignty acts like the one they have in Wyoming. It can be done. Remember, the FOP, the National Fraternal Order of Police, wants the federal government to revive all this during as Trump's presidency. Remember, where the money comes from, us. They need us more. We need them. So definitely, we gotta counter this crap, especially on militarizing the police. This is unacceptable, and we gotta let the Trump administration know you're not gonna put it in our states. That's plain and simple. All right. It's funny because I was checking out this one video a friend of mine posted on Facebook. It actually came out November 11th, and it's the whole thing about protesting the whole Trump rally. You know, it's a called Disrupt J, and I'm at their site right now. How to burn American flag, and as far as the flag you see here, it's nothing more than a maritime law flag. Submedia.tv. So it tells you about people getting together. You got Injurious Actions, Antifa 7 Hills, Four Corners Antifa. So Roosevelt Group, South Florida Smash, HLS. So they're gonna go up there too to protest against Donald Trump. But it's an interesting video. I'm gonna add that to the link on Submedia, and you guys could hear it for yourselves. And I'll just give you my intake on it. Okay.
On Friday, January 20th, 2017, Donald Trump will be inaugurated as President of the United States. We call on all people of good conscience to join in disrupting the ceremonies. If Trump is to be inaugurated at all, let it happen behind closed doors, showing the true face of the security state Trump will preside over. It must be made clear to the whole world that the vast majority of people in the United States do not support his presidency or consent to his rule. Trump stands for tyranny, greed, and misogyny. He is the champion of neo-Nazis and white nationalists, of the police who kill the black, brown and poor on a daily basis, of racist border agents and sadistic prison guards, of the FBI and NSA who tap your phone and read your email. He is the harbinger of even more climate catastrophe, deportation, discrimination, and endless war. He continues to deny the existence of climate change, in spite of all the evidence, putting the future of the whole human race at stake. The KKK, Vladimir Putin, Golden Dawn, and the Islamic State all cheered his victory. If we let his inauguration go unchallenged, we are opening the door to the future they envision. Trump's success confirms the bankruptcy of representative democracy. Rather than using the democratic process as an alibi for inaction, we must show that no election could legitimize his agenda. Neither the Democrats nor any other political party or politician will save us. They just offer a weaker version of the same thing. If there is going to be positive change in this society, we have to make it ourselves, together, through direct action. From day one, the Trump presidency will be a disaster. Disrupt J20 will be the start of the resistance. We must take to the streets and protest, blockade, disrupt, intervene, sit in, walk out, rise up, and make more noise and good trouble than the establishment can bear. The parade must be stopped. We must delegitimize Trump and all he represents. It's time to defend ourselves, our loved ones, and the world that sustains us as if our lives depend on it. Because they do. Thousands will converge and demonstrate resistance to the Trump regime. Save the date. Our allegiance is not to making America great again, but to all of humanity and the planet. Spread the word. Join the fight. Disrupt J20.
Yeah. So the question is this: what took these individuals so long? Now you want to go disrupt the Trump inauguration. How come you didn't do that to the Obama administration, the second term? Okay, and because he was a big warmonger and all that. Everything this video is saying, the past administrations are doing the same thing. So how come that hasn't happened? Why it's called exceptionalism? That's one thing I'm very critical about on here. So the only thing I have to notice is, especially this, they try to say neo Nazis, white nationalists, and the KKK. How about the other folks out there, like the Black Panther Party, and you got criminal elements from Black Lives Matter? I'm not saying they're all bad folks, but you have your infiltrators in there as well. I have to look at this way, and a colleague of mine too that on Facebook talked about be safe and be careful. He may see some suspicions here as well. I'm expecting this to be infiltrated, an infiltrated cause, in my personal view. Okay, and I say that out of respect. And I see this is all another anti-Trump website or a fetish, according to this, on Disrupt J20. So, but like I say, everything here is like Trump this, Trump that, Trump this, Trump that. But I don't see that happen with the Obama administration. Okay, how come they didn't do that during that time? Well, a bunch of hypocrites, I would say, in good faith. They'll double speak. All these individuals that are going to be may join this fight. If you're going to go up there, Washington D.C., you better be extremely vigilant, especially with your surroundings. I'm looking at some plants, infiltrators, and provocateurs involved in this little J20 movement or disrupt J20 movement. And some people I know within these groups understand where I'm coming from. There's some of them, like one down, like from Antifa, which I'm friends with the man for over 24 years. I don't like I say I really question this. You're gonna protest, have merit, but everything I'm seeing here is like the same old song and dance, right out of Edward Bernays' playbook, propaganda. So that's one of the things I have to. You gotta be really vigilant. So nothing wrong protesting and criticizing Trump. Whatever you do, have merit. Back it up. Don't be a parrot. Because some boneheads are saying, some bobbleheads are telling you, masters are saying, oh, he's a racist, isn't that? No, you better back it up. Plain and simple. If you're going to go out there, just be a her conformist, then your mission has failed. So I'm definitely going to add this to the memo. I'm going to add these to the memos because even on here, because it's all been transcribed. So you got a lot of people here signing up. Torch Anti-Fun Network, South Florida Smash HLS, Stand Up Fight Back, Cop Watch Patrol Unit, Revolutionary Security Corps, Redneck Revolt, St. Louis Antifa, Sub Antifa in Indonesia. So that's one thing you got to look at. Are these people hired or inspired? Hired to do this? The way I examine the video and the rhetoric and the transcript and the transcript, it's a real damn good chance it is. So I'm not. I know I'm not the only one. Only one will attest to it. So okay, next one here actually came from Miami New Times. It's got my attention, and it's by Jerry Ranelli, and it came out today. It says here, "Hey Florida, it's time to stop blindly adoring Publix. If a huge company like Best Buy, Walmart had a history of anti-LGBT accusations, Fort Miami Beach's attempt to ban styrofoam. He has tied someone to donate hundreds of thousands of dollars against medical marijuana, a proposal to raise the minimum wage. Protests would rage in the streets of Miami. But despite having a hand in all the things, Publix, Florida's most blindly beloved company, appears to be made of Teflon. The company remains one of the most respected brands in the Sunshine State despite a string of actions this year that should force consumers to pause before shopping there. Publix is adored in Florida. The Lakeland-based chain is the state's most valuable homegrown brand, besting even Burger King, and is the most profitable chain of supermarkets in America, according to Forbes. The company is employee-owned, which means its workers get a cut of its stock shares, pulls more than $30 billion in revenue a year. Forbes regularly named Publix a great place to work for reasons that largely stem from its employee ownership model and nebulously defined workplace culture. Much love heaped on Publix comes from its own marketing campaigns. Floridians love repeating the store's slogan, where shopping is a pleasure, and defend the chain from criticism with relative fervor of Song Myung Moon devotees. When a satirical website, Fark.com, called Publix the Walmart of the South in 2015, Floridians swarmed the site with angry comments. This chain also leads to scumulty commercials around holidays such as Thanksgiving and Christmas that remind everyone that their grandmothers used to buy cakes and tomatoes at Publix on Christmas Eve. In Florida, it is almost impossible to criticize a store without the members of your office, family dinner table, fantasy football league, competitive coordinating circle, grasping and all, crossing themselves and dousing you in esporal alcohol. Yes, public supermarkets tend to be clean, well lit, and mildly pleasant, but they are no way rivals those of Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, or Wegmans in terms of store design or shopping experience. Those stores tend to be more expensive and located in high-income neighborhoods, but that's an argument for another day. Publix foods is reasonably priced, but not quite as cheap as a low cost store at Family Dollar. Publix is simply the boring, lukewarm center of the supermarket industry, but Floridians treat shopping there as each store sells Febreze eggs and ecstasy pills, as opposed to the above average chicken finger subs. And placing the Publix on a pedestal the store may or may not deserve. Many Floridians continue to ignore the fact that behind the scenes, the company operates just like any other corporate giant. For years, Publix has fought accusations of an anti-LGBT discrimination. Human Rights Campaign, a national gay rights organization, said for years that Publix was the only Fortune 1000 company declining participating in nonprofit LGBT workers' rights survey. And in 2013, gave a chance zero rating for LGBT friendliness. That year, gay rights group Equality Florida told New Times it has received numerous complaints of LGBT discrimination at Publix. In 2012, Broward County's Human Rights Board demanded that Publix pay a gay cake decorator $100,000 after the man said he was fired for sexual orientation. The decision was later overturned, but other gay employees told New Times in 2014 they were denied benefits such as bereavement pay when the same-sex partners died, among other complaints. Compared to the company's competitors, Publix took a remarkably long time to offer marriage benefits to same-sex couples. Farm workers also protested the grocery chain for exploiting workers in poor areas of Southwest Florida, and Greenpeace has ranked the supermarket as one of the least sustainable places to buy fish in America. But those issues never seem to come up in the numerous fawning profiles written about the company over the years. Likewise, the chain and people close to it have made a series of bad faith political decisions in the past year. Carol Jenkins Barnett, the daughter of Publix founder George Jenkins, donated $800,000 of her family's money to Drug Free Florida, a political action committee that spread outright lies to try to scare people into voting down medical marijuana this year. Though Publix said Barnett's donations had nothing to do with the company, critics said she was trying to defend the store's pharmacy business from competition because doctors in the legal weed state tend to prescribe far fewer doses of painkillers and other prescription pills. As opiate painkillers continue to stoke the nation's heroin crisis, Barnett spent Publix earned money fighting to keep alternative medicines away from sick people. The company also spent $1 million this year trying to persuade state lawmakers to stop local governments from banning polystyrene containers, which are harmful to the environment and ocean. Polystyrene ban in Miami Beach barely passed before the state law took effect, and Publix was one of the first businesses fined to break a city law. Now, a massive trade group with major ties to Publix is flexing its political muscle against another Miami Beach ordinance. Last year, the Florida Retail Coalition, whose 5 members executive board includes public representatives, is suing the city of Miami Beach to stop the Barrier Island from raising its minimum wage to $13.31 per hour. The coalition is also suing the city of Coral Gables to try to ban polystyrene too. For Publix, a company that prides itself on treating workers fairly, getting tied to that lawsuit is a remarkable black eye. Public's entire employee-owned pursuit of pro-labor ethos seems fairly hollow when a trade organization helps control throwing legal temper tantrums because one city in Florida might force retail chains to pay their employees enough to pay their rent. Tasty sub sandwiches can only get you so far. That says Jan Leilani. He's an honor student at Temple University in Philadelphia. Oh, he moved to South Florida in 2015. Oh, lovely. He's how to do it in Philly, right? But first of all, I think the city of Miami Beach needs to cut their damn taxes. Okay, that's the one taxaholic city, man. That's the first of all. I'll be very sincere. Second, yeah, the whole pasta containers. You know what I tell everyone? Stop buying it. You want to shut them down? Shut it down. Stop buying those damn containers. Period. Get them where it hurts. Then the consumer could tell the store is not demanding. They'll get rid of it. All right. I see a thing of neo-mercantilism on these areas, but I do agree when he about the whole George Jenkins thing, donating $100,000 to drug-free Florida on for the vote against medical marijuana. I've done a past article. I've done a past read a past article on this when I was in Utah, and I was I was boldly opposed it. So, and to me, Publix is more of a want, not a need. And with the whole LGBT discrimination, one thing you have to look at, we got to read these policies. Okay, you got to start reading these policies. And if you sign an agreement, then if you sign it, it's considered a contractual agreement. Because in Florida, they can fire you at will. I look at people as individuals, not some any more particular groups. And there's some folks out there, doesn't matter what their sexual orientation is, they're great human beings. The way we do this to make public change is supply and demand, not through political BS, or especially with the minimum wage, which is fiat for goodness sakes. So that's one thing you have to look at. So, like I said, every store has its pros and cons, including Publix. I knew this for a long, long time, and I do remember the whole thing with the even with the immigrants, or the farm workers. They get pretty treated bad, and I don't get my fish there anyway from Publix. So, the fact is this: the people who shop there the consumers can make the difference. All right, it can make a huge difference. So you gotta pick your battles wisely, my friends. So this article does has its, pros and cons, which is fair. But I like to tell that to see Miami Beach, stop raising taxes. It's hurting your city. How come people have to pay high rent now? Because of you bastards. Plain and simple. You're just part of the problem. Don't just put everything on Publix on that aspect. However, I know I'm digressing, forgive me. I believe in rights of individuals, no more to special groups. And I will say this one more time: if there's a policy agreement, if it has sexual orientation on it, if you sign it and they fire you because or they try to fire you at will or because of your sexual orientation and you sign the agreement, that's called a contractual breach in the contract. So I don't adore Publix. Yes, it's a Florida run facility near Ruder Haven to be exact. But remember, they're a want, not a need. And they had became a big chain too, because they see them out in Alabama, Georgia, and if I'm correct, Mississippi. I could be mistaken, but they're popping up everywhere. All right. Always shop responsibly. Local farmers markets would be good too. All right, folks. One more thing here. I got this transfer through News Buds, and it takes me to a little Rockwell link. And this is entitled "Donald Trump Will Ruthlessly Decimate the CIA for Turning on Him." This is by Ricky Twisdale from Russian Insider. Came out yesterday to be exact. And as it reads, on Wednesday night, NBC released a report in conclusion with a myriad of anonymous sources reputed to be the CIA and other intelligence agencies claiming that Vladimir Putin personally directed the discretion of Hillary Clinton via hacking hers and the DNC servers before the presidential election. Yep, same old song and dance, right? U.S. intelligence officials now believe with a high level of confidence that Russian President Vladimir Putin became personally involved in the covert Russian campaign to interfere with in the U.S. presidential election. Senior U.S. intelligence officials told NBC News. I know this is comical, so you can laugh all you want. Two senior officials direct access to the information, say new intelligence shows that Putin personally directed how hacked material from Democrats was leaked and otherwise used. The intelligence came from diplomatic sources and spies working for the U.S. allies, the officials said. The report does not cite any source by any name of his information other than incredible moron Michael McFaul, one-time U.S. ambassador to Russia, as a cheerleader to the report. I must stress this is an incredible direct accusation against the president of Russia, which has potential to provoke both international and domestic crisis, which could quickly spiral out of control. This is far, far beyond reckless. Rather than keeping their head down for the next 4 years, even trying to exercise some subtle influence on president's decisions, these entitled flunkies when the CIA mass media have thrown themselves into the open in this last-ditch desperate attack, which definitely condemns them to the president-elect's coming wrath. They apparently have no idea. They just kicked open a hornet's nest. Donald J. Trump does not take prisoners. He will not forgive or forget, and the massacre coming to the halls of Langley and to anybody and anywhere else in the executive branch involved in this is going to beggar belief. Trump, who was a prestige of the infamously ruthlessly attorney Roy Cohn, has made it very clear over the years I mean, how he deals with his enemies. And think big, he detailed how to handle traitors. I always get even. I go out of my way to make their life miserable. When somebody screws you, screw them back in spades and go for the jugular so that people watching will not want to mess with you. And the art of comeback, Trump wrote. I believe an eye for an eye, like the Old Testament says. Some people who forgot to lift a finger when I needed them. When I was down, they need my help now, and I'm screwing them against the wall. I'm doing a number. I'm having so much fun. John F. Kennedy famously threatened to smash the CIA into thousands of pieces, but ultimately the 35th president has lost a solitary battle to completely break the power of the deep state. Though I respect Kennedy, I believe Trump is much more serious proposition. Donald Trump is Michael Corleone. He will keep his friends close and his enemies closer, includes likes of John Bolton. Ugh. But those he doesn't keep closer, he will ruthlessly screw against the wall for targeting him. This no-nonsense Mike Pompeo, Trump's nominee for CIA director, will be the hatchet man for his merciless house cleaning operation. Come January 20th, the reckoning begins. Let's get ready to rumble. Interesting, interesting perspective on that. But I do remember him made a speech on that at the Broward Convention Center years ago. He was like the last speaker before we tore it down. I was staging at the time, and he goes, "Yeah, you don't get mad, you get even." So he is right on that, and so I can attest that firsthand. But like I said, if you gotta go witch hunting, you expect blowback, and this was gonna may happen. So when this upcoming inaugural comes out, the first 100 days and beyond, we'll just see what happens. These folks are going to be going after him, absolutely. But we still got to be vigilant on his act. We got to be vigilant on his motives, like every other president. Put their feet to the fire, keep these people on their toes. But if he does decimate the CIA for turning on him, you know what I say? Let it be. The CIA has been interfering in history. The CIA has been interfering with a lot of people's affairs for a very long time, and it was a result to blowback. Good example: Iran, the hostage crisis. Thank you. On look up Operation Ajax I know I say it enough time, but a lot of people who heard my show understand where I'm coming from. And you know what? And that is it. I thank everyone for listening to the show. Plus, feel free to download and share this throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or you want to send me something that's interesting I haven't addressed yet, whatever you do, please deliver your correspondences with decorum. You can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, Speaker, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Freedoms Network, or Scene.life. In addition, you can email me at LokiLuck3, which is LokiLuck, the number 3 altogether, at gmail.com. It's funny, I was reading this one article about a person in Texas voted for Ron Paul in the Electoral College. I just find that hilarious. I think it's great. Remember, the Liberty Movement hasn't died. All right, my friends. That is all for now. Once again, thank you for your time. Let's always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. So all I gotta say is take care of yourselves, keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.